never gives up. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe is there!
G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose? To defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare, G.I. Joe!
Hello everybody, good morning, Mac here, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons. What we have here in front of us, believe it or not, if you remember last week, we put up the video about the new G.I. Joe Snake Eyes Origins figures that were on pre-sale, pre-order, card and link to that video right here. Well, that was just last week. Now we have two of those figures in hand. We have the General Issue Snake Eyes and we have the General Issue Storm Shadow here. And I would like to thank Hasbro for sending these out early so that we could get a look at them. I'd like to thank Hasbro, but I can't because they didn't send them. I bought these already. That's right. There are at least three of these figures that are for sale on Amazon already, despite all of the pre-order hype from last week. We have Snake Eyes, we have Storm Shadow, and then the third one is something called Tech Ninja Snake Eyes that I just really didn't care for. It looks like a Power Ranger and a putty had a baby, and I just didn't want to have anything to do with that combination. But I have these. They're $10 each. You can get them on Amazon, or at least you could a few days ago when I ordered these. But for now, let's get a quick look at these, because remember we had talked about that we don't think they're going to be in line with classifieds. And now that I have these in hand, I definitely don't think these are supposed to be in line with classifieds. I do think that these are more like those Marvel Avengers. These figures are to G.I. Joe classified what Marvel Avengers are to the Marvel Legends line. But we take a look at these. It's not even a box. You can see it's a card back. This is going to be ripped open, and once it's ripped open, you're not going to be able to reseal it. It has some very standard deco. You got just an image of Snake Eyes down here, which I think that's going to be standard across the packaging. On the back, I don't know if you can see, but there's like that red outline of Snake Eyes in the background. You have an image of the figure inside, and then his name down here, along with the Articulation clan symbol, and then Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. Now, I've heard these called Origins figures. I've heard these called Core figures. I'm just calling them G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins line. On the back, there's no cross-sell, but there is a picture of the figure that's inside the packaging. And over here, we can see that there is some kind of action feature that it looks like a waist twist like the vintage Masters of the Universe. And if we flip Storm Shadow over, we see it's basically the same thing. There is a production photo of the toy that's inside, and then the action feature, which if that's really what this is, then that is going to interfere with posability. Once again, leading me to believe these are not intended for collectors. These are kids' toys. All right, so that's pretty much all it is. It's a pegged card back. So without further ado, let's get these out of the packaging, and we will take a look at Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, Snake Eyes, and Storm Shadow. Well, here they are, friends, out of the box. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe, Snake Eyes Origins, Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins, Origin figures, whatever you want to call them. Now, we're going to have some stuff to talk about, and some of it will be good. Some of it, a lot of you probably won't be too happy about, but we'll get to that first. So let's set Storm Shadow back here. As far as articulation and everything goes, I'm just going to be showing you on Snake Eyes, because the articulation on both of them is quite literally exactly the same. All right. So let's put the tape measure to it, and you can see that, let's back him up so you can see, and you can see that in his neutral stance, Snake Eyes is just under 6 inches tall. And if we set him aside and we bring Storm Shadow forward, and in his neutral stance, once again, he is just under 6 inches tall, which, yeah, that means this line is a true 6-inch line, whereas G.I. Joe Classified and things like Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series, at this point is more like a 6.5-inch scale figure. Now, like I said, we're going to take a look at articulation, but we're only going to show it on Snake Eyes because they are all exactly the same. So let's start with the head twist here. Now, what we end up with is the head can do a full 360 spin. Can't really look up, can look down a little bit, no tilt in it at all. The shoulders, these are a little stiff. The shoulders can come up. The shoulders come up real well, actually. They do a full 360 spin. There's no bicep swivel, but the elbow does bend a little bit over 90, and then there's a swivel in the elbow as well. And that's it for the arms. There's no wrist twist. There's no wrist pivot. The wrists are static. We'll get to the waist articulation in a second. Let's go to the legs next. Now, he can do the splits. He can do the splits very well. He can do the splits better than some of the Marvel Legends Spider-Men. His leg can go out. His leg can go back. He has a single hinge knee, but also hinge and swivel because there's no boot cut, although I guess you could argue that that's the boot cut. There's no thigh swivel, and there's nothing in the ankles. So the only points of articulation we have are head spin, shoulders, elbows, hips, and knees. Now the waist. It has a very weak spring action, as you can see. Now, it doesn't go both ways. What they did was, there are detents in it that if you twist this way, it will hold position. So you can get wrist rotation, or you can get wrist twist posing out of him. You just have to go about a weird way of doing it. But you'll also notice that he doesn't exactly sit perfectly back to zero. I don't know if you can tell that he's just a little off right there. Now, if you do, let's say, twist him this way and try to turn him back, he still has that snap action, so you kind of have to go all the way back around to get him back to where he was. Paint deco on both of these is very basic. It's not bad, it's just very basic, and there are some details on here that I'm actually surprised at. As you can see, the majority of Snake Eyes is completely black, and they put some gray highlights in there just to break up the black costume. Now, he has some paint app at the buckle on his chest and the buckles on his belt, which is a nice touch. I wasn't expecting that. And, of course, he has his Arashikage symbol here on the bicep. Just a little point of note, it's on the wrong side. Not much going on back, not much on this side. But I thought those were a nice touch, because then also if you bring Storm Shadow forward, you can see he has the Arashikage logo up on his chest, and they also added some touches of black to his belt up front only, just so that he has some extra color that breaks it up. It's not just stark white and gray, just like this isn't all glossy black and gray. Now, they're not bad. Honestly, if you take a look at them, the sculpt on them is not bad. As a matter of fact, with Storm Shadow here, I was kind of surprised. Let's see if we can get focused in here. I was kind of surprised at how good the paint app is on his eyes, because I thought I was really expecting them to come out cross, or one was going to be lazy and off to the side. I don't know. They did a really good job on Storm Shadow's eyes. And when that's all you can see of his face, that's pretty impressive. Also, when you look over these figures, there's no bleed over with the paint apps, which blows my mind. Like, the paint apps are actually really solid on both of these figures, which makes it even worse. It's a shame. This is the only stark white Storm Shadow we've received already. Because as you see later, when we do a side-by-side comparison, when you put Arctic Mission Storm Shadow next to this Storm Shadow, he's not quite as white as we thought he was. Now let's just slip these back. We have some accessories. Let's start with Storm Shadow first. And the first thing he has are these crossed sheaths with these twin swords in them. Now, in the packaging, mine were bent a little. Yours probably would be too. That's just from packaging, but they are very soft. They're very soft rubber that applying some heat to it, or maybe even just time, will take care of it. And it's the same with the swords that are inside. You can see the swords are a little bent out of shape, but that's no problem. That'll come out with time. And as you can see, he has two swords. There's one kind of looks straight, one kind of looks bent. So I guess he has a katana and a ninjakin, depending on what day of the week it is. But there's actually some pretty nice sculpting in the hilts of the sword to represent the crisscross pattern on the hilt, which is pretty impressive. And they just slide right in. Oh, let's put them in this way. They just slide right into his back sheath. You can see there is a peg here. He has a hole on his back, and it just pops right in like that. All right. He also comes with a bow. He comes with a bow, and he comes with a quiver. Now, if we look at the quiver, as you can see, is the quiver from the Arctic Mission Storm Shadow. Whoops. Dropped it. You can see it is the quiver from the Arctic Mission Storm Shadow. Matter of fact, if we do a side-by-side comparison, you can see it's exactly the same mold, just different paint apps. I wish they would have painted out the Arashikage symbol on here like they did on this. Only instead of gold, they could have done this on red. But you can see it's completely the same, just molded in different plastic and different paint apps applied to it. And once again, it has that hole on the back so that you can take Storm Shadow's scabbards off. You can plug it into the sheath if you want to. Into the quiver if you want to. And then you can plug the quiver into his back. The only problem is that now he has a whole lot of real estate back here sticking out. At least whenever you take the Arctic Mission Storm Shadow quiver and his ninjakin and you peg them together. See that? It doesn't take up nearly as much. It doesn't come out nearly as far. And we have his bow right here. And at first when I saw this bow, I thought this bow was the bow from the Arctic Mission Storm Shadow. But if you put them up side by side, get over here, get over. If you put them up side by side, you can see that they are different molds. They are different bows. That the handle is different, the risers are different, and the tops up here on the recurve are different. They don't even match up the same, which, once again, I thought this was going to be the same one, but they gave him something completely different. Now, he gets a real good grip on his stuff. Like, sometimes the classified figures, they hold something and they hold it loose. Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes, which you'll see in a second, has a real good grip on all of his equipment. And something else that you can see, let's move Snake Eyes out of the way for now, that you saw how big that backpack is on his back. He's a solid standing figure. He doesn't have a problem standing up. He's not back heavy. He doesn't fall back. He has no problem keeping all of this gear on him. And that's pretty impressive. I like that. Now we got Snake Eyes here, and we can take a look at his accessories. He has a little bit more. He doesn't have an Uzi. He doesn't have any guns or anything like that. What he does have are these twin butterfly sabers here. And if we can get a close-up look at them, they have some real nice Damascus-style sculpt to them. Look at that. That looks great. I'm actually a little jealous of these weapons that come with this versus the ones that came with the G.I. Joe Classified line. Flip these over so you can see. It's the same on both sides. They have some real good sculpting, some real good detail work done to them. You can see the handles right there as well. And those are really cool. And once again, Snake Eyes gets a really good grip in his hands with them. Oh. Better grip than me. He has a real solid grip with both of these weapons in his hands. And something else that he has to go along with it is this 3-section staff. Now, this 3-section staff, actually, one of his vintage figures did come with a 3-section staff. I think it was the third Snake Eyes came with it. And so there's not much there, and there's not a whole lot of length to do anything with it. Like, you can't wrap it around his shoulder in a very believable fashion. And also, because there's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of grip under his arms over here. He can't do that pose where like he's holding one in one hand and keeping the other end tucked up underneath his arm. There's just not enough grip in there. It can't do it. But speaking of grip, one thing that this staff does do, and you might have seen this on the packaging when we were looking at it, there are these octagonal holes in the ends of the 3-section staff that you can match the butterfly sabers up to. And if you remember in the video last week, I said it looked like a lot of these figures have gimmick weapons. Well, a lot of these figures have gimmick weapons, because then you can put those all together and you get this bladed 3-section staff, just to make the weapon look just a little bit more lethal and a little bit more unbelievable. So he has that, and then finally he has his katana, which it has a name. In the movie, it has a name. I forget what the name of it is, like the Dawn Star or the Night Star or something like that. And it's sheathed in here. And once again, I'm kind of jealous that the sculpt on it, you can see the pattern along the blade like it's supposed to be sharpened. The hilt has that golden circular piece. I forget what that's actually called on a katana. And then a gloss black hilt with the wrappings on it once again. This looks really good, actually. This looks really good, because if you take this, and where's it at? If you take this and you compare it to the saber-like weapon that we got with G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes, the standard issue, they're about the same size, but the one that came with the Origins figure looks so much better. Instead of it just being all black, it was molded in gray. It has etching work along the bottom. The hilt is painted up a better color. Now, the one that comes with the movie figure is probably much bigger than this, and probably much better suited to the full 6-inch scale. But the G.I. Joe Classified Snake Eyes can wield this thing, and can look convincing when he's wielding this thing. Now, the only thing that's a real bite about this is, first of all, you can see that this pegs in to Snake Eyes' back. That's actually upside down. You would have to do it that way. But because of his arm articulation, he can't really get any over-the-shoulder grabbing and unsheathing poses. So you can see that they both wear their weapons on their backs. But if you take this off, the hole on Storm Shadow's back is a little bit bigger than the hole on Snake Eyes' back, because the gear that Storm Shadow carries has a bigger peg hole, because it's using the same mold as the classified figure, that it's not going to fit. Snake Eyes' gear has a smaller peg than Storm Shadow's, and then you can't put Storm Shadow's gear into Snake Eyes' back either, so Snake Eyes can't have a quiver and a bow. But that also means that if you were planning, and let's bring in our classified figure here, if you were planning on trying to use this katana with your G.I. Joe Classified, it's loose. It won't fit in there. If you go through the bandolier, the rubber helps to hold it in, but not really. And then if you try and, let's do this, if you try and peg it into the side of his backpack, it falls out. One thing that I did find out is, because even though it's curved, look at this mess I have here, because it's curved, even though it's curved, it does fit into the scabbard that came with Snake Eyes for his saber weapon. So you have some options there. You have some choices there. So here they are, Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes with their G.I. Joe Classified counterparts, and you can see there is a noticeable difference not only in the height, but actually in the build, in the bulk of each of these figures. The classified figures are broader in the chest. Obviously, they're taller by about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. These are very slender figures in the torso. And now that I'm looking at them next to him, it looks like they're all leg. And you can even see on our Storm Shadow over here some design elements from Arctic Mission Storm Shadow that carried over, like the split-toed tabby. You can see You can also see the open shin guards on both of them. So there are, and even the front cloth pieces that are hanging here, even the belt buckles are a little similar. And the position of the pouches, that's really interesting. I never noticed that. It's not the same sculpt. I don't think it's the same piece. No, it's not the same piece, but it very much mimics the Arctic Mission look. And then once again, like I said, when you put the Arctic Mission Storm Shadow next to our Snake Eyes Origins Storm Shadow, there is a huge difference in white tone between the two of these. I also wish on the Origins figures, since they were adding the gray highlight to the Snake Eyes figure, that they would have painted his visor gray, so that the head wasn't just one black orb on his shoulders. He would have had some color, some detail to the head sculpt, to the helmet, to the mask, whatever it is in this incarnation of Snake Eyes. It would have had some detail to it. And keeping our ninja theme going, here they are with the McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat 11 Scorpion, a 7-inch figure. And here they are with Havoc from the Jazzwares Fortnite series. As you can see, height-wise, they're all the same, but once again, bulk. Havoc here has more bulk in the chest, just basically in the torso, than Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow do. And I can't help it now that I see it. The more that I look at it, the more it looks like Storm Shadow is just all leg, with a little bit of body up here. So when it's all said and done, they're not bad figures. They're really not. Are they going to stand up to your classified line? No, they're not. They weren't made to. They're not supposed to. And anybody that is trying to compare these to classified and basing them on that metric is being dishonest with what these actually are. Now, some of the things I feel do hold up. Some of the things I feel about these are, I don't want to say better than classified, but classified could learn something from them. First of all, how easily they stand on their own in neutral position. You saw all of the stuff that Storm Shadow has on his back, and the fact that I haven't had an issue yet with him falling forward or falling backward with all of this gear on him, classifieds could learn something from that. The detail work that is in the weapons, once again, classifieds could learn something from that. Storm Shadow being stark white, classifieds could learn something from that. However, these don't have the articulation that classifieds has. These don't have the size that classifieds has. Other than that, your mileage may vary. I don't know what else to tell you at this point. I kind of like them, quite honestly. And the more I played with them, the more they started to endear themselves to me, whereas I thought I was just going to get these two, maybe get some Night Creepers and Red Ninjas to just pad out the Cobra forces, but the more I played around with these, the more charming they became to me, the more endearing they became to me, that you might end up with 2 lines of G.I. Joe, because heavens knows these ones may even actually be on the pegs once they come out. The other thing is that as I'm showing you now, the weapons can transfer between the two of them, that even though the figures are about a half-inch smaller and look like they're half a figure slimmer, the weapons do carry over, that you can use these for other things in your classified line or in your Marvel Legends line, maybe your Star Wars Black Series line. I don't know what's going on over there. But you can use these to pad out some of your other figures, and I already know what I'm going to do with this extra bow and this quiver. I know exactly where that's going to go, and you'll see when I figure that out, or you'll see what happens when I do that. But even the paint app, like the fact that the katana, even though it's a little bit small, may not even be small, it may just be me, but even though it looks like it might be a little bit small for a classified figure, looks better in Snake Eyes' hands than the saber that came with him in the classified line. So that's what we have to look at right now. Like I said, you can get these 2 figures on sale at Amazon. There's a third one, Tech Ninja Snake Eyes, that I am just not going to touch. And all of the other ones are for pre-order on Hasbro Pulse and Big Bad Toy Store. But I pretty much guarantee this line, this $10 price point, will be easy to find on the pegs at Target, at Walmart, just like the Marvel Legends figures. So, that's what we have. We'll have to wait until February of 2022 to get our hands on the rest of them. How crazy is that? But you don't have to wait for the next video, because Monday I have something special coming up, and then we're going to have another one on Wednesday with a very big Comic Book Wednesday video. So until that happens, my friends, have a happy 4th of July. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.
Determined to rule the world.
He never gives up, he'll stay till the fight's won. G.I. Joe will dare. G.I. Joe!